Hello, this is the Eldenwood Craft Podcast. It's Sunday, May the 10th, 2020. My name's Emma and you are very welcome to join me for a chat about all the things I've been making over the last few weeks. How are you? It's been a little over a month since I last recorded. We are still in the middle of our version of lockdown. We've been in lockdown for about 7 weeks now, I think it is. How do you feel about it? It's a funny old time, isn't it? I am going out to work. I work in the NHS and I work at home 2 days a week and work in the office 3 days a week. I am not frontline, I am back office. And yeah, it's interesting. It's been an odd time in the hospital and it's been an interesting time away from work. As a family, we've really enjoyed discovering new places local to us where we have been going for walks. It's really odd. We've lived in this house a year. We've known the local area for the last sort of 7-8 years or so. And we're discovering places that we didn't know existed. Really lovely countryside walks that are just a few minutes walk from our front door. So we can go down to the river, we can walk through wooded tree-lined paths. It's just lovely. It's been really nice. I know it's not the same for everybody. I appreciate how fortunate we are to be able to live in an area like we do, and to be able to either spend time in the garden or have that opportunity to explore. But yeah, I think that we've been making the most of what we've got and making the most of the situation, and trying to find the silver cloud, the silver lining in the grey clouds. Be interesting to see how much longer this goes on for. But anyway, this is not a coronavirus podcast, but I thought I would just fill you in on how our family are getting on. What do I say next? For those of you who are new to the podcast, thank you very much for joining us. And for those of you who have visited before, a very big warm welcome back. I need to do this more often and then I wouldn't be so hesitant in what I'm saying. What I was going to say was, if you need links to all the places where I am on the internet, to Instagram and Ravelry and so on and so forth, the best place to go is to my website, which is eldenwoodcraft.com, and I will put all the details to everything that I'm talking about in the information box underneath this video. While we're on the topic of websites, can I just say a huge thank you to everybody who has been to visit my new website and who has placed an order in recent weeks. If you don't know me, I am a project bag maker. I sell my project bags now through my own website. It's been a huge job, but a really fun job setting up that website. I'm quite pleased with how it looks, with the look and feel, and there are obviously things that I want to build on, but I'm really pleased with it as a starting point. Okay, so on with the show today. I'm going to start with some admin. I've got the first quarter's prize for the Eldenwood Craft Make 9 along to announce. And then I'm going to jump into what I've been working on, what's on my needles and what's off my needles. And we will finish with a short acquisition section. So first off, the Make 9 prize. If you don't know what I'm talking about, this is a year-long make-along where at the beginning of the year those who wanted to take part set out 9 types of things that they wanted to focus their making on for the course of this year. And at the end of each quarter, I announce a prize for whoever's managed to post into the finished objects prize. I must say it's not too late if you want to join in. Anyone can join in at any time during the year. The rules are in the Ravelry group, which I will link to in the description box below. And yeah, it's just a good way of focusing your making over the course of the year. So this quarter's prize, I randomly drew this morning while I was in bed having a cup of tea, and I'm pleased to announce, actually let me tell you the prize first. So I thought I would offer up one of my project bags as a prize. I will happily discuss that with the winner, whether they're interested in a zip bag or a drawstring bag and what sort of material they might like. And also a pattern prize from Ravelry. I will also talk about that with the prize winner. And so this quarter's prize winner is post 15, and that was posted by Majesty1. Majesty1, I don't have your actual name, but if you want to get in touch with me, either through Ravelry DMs or through Instagram or through my website, however you want to do it, then we can discuss your prize in more detail and I will get it sent out to you. So congratulations, and thank you everyone who has taken part so far this year. As you will know from previous years, I'm not great at keeping up with the Ravelry discussion threads, but I do my best. And what I plan to do this week is to go through what I haven't already commented on looked at over the last few weeks and do that. Right, on to the making, and we will start with some socks. Now I've got a pair of socks kind of on the needles, and I have got a pair of socks off the needles. So I will show you the socks off the needles first. You saw one of them in the last podcast, and they are now a completed pair, and they are the Crunkled Socks by Kay Jones, who is from the Bakery Bears podcast. This is it. Kay's pattern is has a longer leg, but I just fancied making a pair of shorties. And yeah, it's a really lovely pattern. It's knit cuff down. I did about 15 rows for the cuff, 1 repeat of the pattern repeat, and then into a heel flap and gusset heel construction. And then this is Kay's umbrella toe, really nice toe. I've heard lots of people talk about her umbrella toe on various podcasts, and it is true, it's a really lovely toe. There, you can see it in all its glory there. The yarn that I've used for the main body of the sock, that was a leftover stranded dye works that I used in my exploration station, and I had literally just enough to complete a pair of socks. It's Amy's Fleet Street colourway. Really nice, I like that. It's a really lovely neutral, and the toe was from my Giddy Yarns advent calendar in 2019, and this is actually one of Helen, who runs Giddy Yarns. That was her mini that she dyed in that particular advent calendar. Not explaining this very well, am I? So Helen's advent calendar that I chose, that I bought last year, was 12, 20-gram minis. Each one was dyed by a different dyer, and the proceeds went to a couple of charities that Helen nominated. And so this particular colour was the yarn that Helen dyed. I really like that. It's lovely. So yeah, fabulous pattern. Really pleased with this pair of socks that I've got out of it, and it's a pattern that I would definitely knit again and would recommend for beginner sock knitters. Actually, I think I said in my last podcast that Kay's pattern writing is really helpful and really easy to understand. So if you are a novice sock knitter and fancy giving these a go, you will not go far wrong. Okay, so that's pair of socks number one. The other pair of socks that I've got on my needles are actually kind of off my needles at the moment, and that is what we've got. It's a tube. This is another pattern by Kay that I am knitting. This is Kay's umbrella socks. I haven't got a printout of the pattern to show you, but I will pop a picture up there. So Kay decided that she wanted to write a toe-up sock pattern using her umbrella toe, which she worked out, because it's normally done toe down, and so she worked it, sorry, it's normally done cuff down, and she worked it to become a toe up toe. And she also wanted to try an afterthought heel, which she also used her umbrella toe construction to make the heel. I haven't quite got to that stage yet. I have literally just knit the tube and marked the place in the pattern, in the tube, where my heel is going to go. The yarn is lovely, isn't it? Look at that beautiful speckling. So this is a sock set that I bought from Becky at Back to Blighty. This is what we have of it for sock number 2. It's her albatross sock set. So there's the main colour and the contrast. I love that. It's a little bit more green in real life. It's showing up as a really beautiful blue on camera, but it's not far off. And that gives you that. The other thing to say about this was the bind off at the top. I usually use a bind off where you do a yarn over, you knit, you do a yarn over, and you pass, oh, I can't quite remember, I always have to look this up, but it's quite a common stretchy bind off. This one I took from Kay's pattern, and it's a sewn bind off, and it gives you a really lovely stretchy finish. So I may use that in future going forwards. I did mess up a little bit, you can see just here. I think I didn't cast off a stitch when I should have done, so I've kind of got a little bobble, but hey, I don't mind if you don't mind. Yeah, so so that's as far as I've got. I thought what I would do is cast on the second sock, get to the same stage, and then do the afterthought heels together at the same time. So yeah, really enjoying that. Needles I'm using, I don't often talk about my needles, but the needles I am using for this and that I generally use for my socks are the higher, no, Chalgoos, and I use 2.25mm needles, which as a professional podcaster I would know what these are in US terms, but I have to look. I think that's a US one. 2.25, I think that's US one. I don't know these things. But yeah, I love the Chalgoo needles, I love the cords. They are definitely my favourite needles, and I'm very tempted to treat myself to an interchangeable set. I usually use the fixed circulars because I get a little bit irritated when the interchangeables start to unscrew when you are mid-project. But that's probably just because I haven't tightened them enough. But anyway, I'm very tempted. So the next project that I've got on my needles is a hat. And I've been wanting to cast this on for the longest time, ever since I saw Angela from the Yarn and Yarns podcast show hers off. And this is the hat. It's the Brookline hat by Rachel Coopy for Bahram U. And as you can see, it is a lovely colourwork hat. And the colours that I'm using, let me just pull these out to show you. I'm using exactly the same colours that Angela used, and I thought I was going to just copy her hat completely because it was so lovely. So I picked the same colours. These are they. The yarn, I'll show you one of the ball bands. The yarn is the yarn that they recommend in the pattern, I believe. And it's this, it's Pip Colourwork from Bahram U. Each ball is 25 grams. And you get 126 yards or 116 metres on each ball. It's a fingering weight yarn. And the colours that I've chosen, or I'll have to get all the ball bands out to find the colour names. So we've got actually I have no idea which is which, but the three different colours are Ekup, Crucible and Viking. So they're all Yorkshire related names because Bahram U is a Yorkshire based yarn company. Anyway, nattering on about that. So Angela's hat had the orange for the brim and the grey and the blue for the colourwork. And I messed up right at the beginning. I used the grey for the brim by mistake, and by the time I was about to start the colourwork, that was when I realised that I had got the I'd used the wrong colour for the brim. But there was not a chance that I was going to rip all that brim work out and start again. So I just thought, oh, let's just go with what we've got. So I am just about to get to the end of the first repeat of the colourwork pattern, and yeah, I'm really enjoying it. It's quite a slow meditative knit for me. I'm not a fast colour worker, and this is probably only my third colourwork pattern, but I am really enjoying it. I don't think that looks too bad. The yarn is really nice. I would definitely use this again for other colourwork projects. You might be able to see it's got a little bit of a halo. It's quite a rustic feeling yarn, and it's got that nice stickiness that is great for colourwork. Yeah, so I'm really pleased with this. This will take me a little while. I've got quite a lot of projects for me on the go at the moment, so my progress through projects is quite slow, but that doesn't bother me at all. Do you want to see my floats? That's the thing that we do, isn't it, when we've got a colourwork project on the go. This is actually the first time I've looked at my floats, and they're not so bad. Pretty. Yeah, really enjoying this. So yeah, Angela, thank you for the inspiration. Apologies for trying to copy you, and apologies that I didn't quite get it right. But yeah, thoroughly enjoying that project. Oh, picking the ball up from the floor. Needles that I'm using for this are these, as you can see from the red cords. These are SHAWLS as well. I think they're 2.75mm and they're a 16-inch cord. Yeah, loving that. Right, on to shawls, and I've got one on the go and one ready to go. So I will show you the one on the go at the moment. I've got 2 balls of yarn for this. And let me just sort my yarn out. So, bit of a tangled mess, apologies. I have been wanting to knit this project for a long time, and I was having a sort out of my yarn stash a few weeks ago, and I saw these 2 colours sitting together, and I thought that they were perfect for this project. So the project is the Pure Joy shawl by Joji Locatelli. I don't have the pattern printed out, and again I'll put a picture of it up here. It's a 2 skein, 2 colour shawl, and these are the 2 colours that I have chosen. Oh, look how lovely they look together. This one here, the smaller of the 2, which I'm using for the main body of the shawl, is from Mr. B Yarns, and it's in the Just Rust colourway, and I think it's their standard sock base. It's their Hiddleston 4-ply, which is their superwash merino nylon base. There's Mr. B's ball band. And the second colour, this one here, is just, oh, look at that. That's a stunning cake of yarn, and that is from Jenny at Owl About Yarn, and it is her Tibetan yak base, which is 60% superwash merino, 20% silk and 20% yak. And there's Jenny's ball band. It's just lovely. That's the nutmeg colourway, and the two of them together are glorious. I really like a yak base, I've decided. I like the depth of colour that you get from it. I've got another one of Jenny's yak bases, which is a blue colour, and it's such a beautiful skein of yarn. It needs a very special project to knit with it. Anyway, so the Pure Joy shawl that I am knitting is like this at the moment. If I can get there. Show it the right way round. There we go. So it's all bunched up on the needles. We've got there we go. I think I'm about 3/4 of the way through. The 2 yarns just go so well together. I'm so pleased with that. And if you remember from the pattern, there's a big band of colour at the end, and that will be what that ball of yarn will be used for, as well as the eyelet contrast rows. It's just working up really nicely. It's a lovely, not quite mindless knit, but really easy going, and once you've got into it, actually you really don't need the pattern to follow. It tells you how many short rows to do for each section. So all these different sections, these ones here are, they grow through short rows, they're shaped through short rows, and each section tells you how many times you need to repeat the pattern, but actually you really don't need to follow the pattern. It's very intuitive. So yeah, I've really been enjoying this. It's not taken me terribly long to get this far. And this, I reckon, will be off the needles in a couple of weeks probably. Maybe sooner if I focus just on knitting this. But yeah, lovely project. Let me pop that down and pick up. So the next project, shawl project, that I will be casting on, I thought I would talk about it today because it's very relatable to the Pure Joy shawl. It's another Joji Locatelli pattern. It's the Evolve pattern, and I have been looking for yarn to knit this pattern for ages. I have got a copy of that pattern actually. I'm going to go and get my book and show it to you, so hang on a sec. Okay, so the pattern is out of this book, Interpretations Volume 6. This is a series of pattern books that Joji Locatelli and Vera Välimäki have been writing. I bought this last year when I went to Bath, and one of the main reasons that I bought it was for this particular shawl, and it's the Evolve shawl, this one. It's a 3-skein shawl. There's a nice picture. It's a 3-skein textured shawl, so it'll be a lovely big shawl, and I really liked the colours that Joji had used for this, and so didn't really have anything in my stash that I wanted to use that fit the bill, and then Mr. B's Yarns again was doing a live sort of virtual, so because of the coronavirus, all the wool festivals, all the yarn festivals have had to either not happen, or a lot of them have happened virtually, and Mr. B did a virtual Wonder Wool session, because they were supposed to be at Wonder Wool a few weekends ago, and it just so happened that he had the perfect trio of yarns on offer, which I think they had dyed, or I don't think they dyed it up to, no, they hadn't dyed up to specifically be used with that shawl, but they used the shawl as inspiration for what they were showing, I think. If I've got that wrong, I'm sorry. But anyway, so the 3 yarns that I picked up are these. They're lovely. So you will want to know the colourway names. I hope I've got the ball bands in this bag. I do. I need to remember which one's which. So, Mr. B Yarns. So we have got Slate, we have got Inkwell, and we have got Graphite. This one here is Inkwell. I think the middle one is Slate and the end one is Graphite, but I might be wrong. But you can see how well they will work in that shawl. They're very, very similar to the yarns that Joji Locatelli herself used. So lovely. I can't wait to cast that on, which I will do so once I have finished the Evolve shawl. And I'm going to be having a little mini cal with my friend Caroline for that, as she wants to knit it as well. So Caroline, when you're ready, give us a shout. Right, so that's shawls. Sweater. Do you want to see my Errata sweater? Hang on. So, Errata is still on the needles. However, I have made a bit of progress. I have finished the body, and here it is. I'm in 2 minds about this. I was in 2 minds about it last time, I think, and I'm still in 2 minds. I don't know what I think about this, and I think I might have knitted it too short. I love this. This is lovely. But this, I don't know. I think I'm not going to pass judgment until I have finished the sleeves. And I might actually just do short sleeves, because the material that I've got with the wool that the yarn that I'm using Phil Kalana Alweta Classic. It's given a very, I mean, it is a fingering weight yarn, but it's given a very fine floppy, drapey fabric. I just don't know. I'm in two minds about it. I will see what it's like when I have finished the sleeves as to whether or not I like it or not. So I thought in my head that I would prefer a fingering weight sweater because I prefer to layer rather than to really be bunched up with my clothes and have big, thick, heavy jumpers on. But actually, the Tin Can Knits Mountain Mist sweater that I knit last year, which is an Aran weight, I think, I love that jumper so much. And in the winter I have lived in it and it's held up really well. And this just feels a little bit nah compared to it, but we will see. We will see. I will get those sleeves done and I will report back. Okay, what else is on my list? Done the socks, done the shawls, done the sweater, done the hat. I thought I would show you my crochet blanket. So my crochet blanket I started sometime last year. I think it might have been in the summer. Lovely Marta from the Martushka Knits podcast started the Crochet from Your Heart Cal, and the if I remember rightly, the inspiration behind it was she wanted to make a crochet blanket for her daughter, and she put all her love and heart into it, and I thought I would join in. My daughter is due to go to university next a year in September, October, and I thought it would be nice for her to have a blanket from her mum, that she could give herself a mum hug when she needs it and I'm not there. I asked her what colours she would like me to make it out of, and very definitely she said blue and grey. And so I gathered up all my blue and grey minis and scraps and was very kindly donated some by some lovely people, thank you. I'm keeping it in my basket that I picked up at Fibre East a couple of years ago. Here are I've separated my yarns into my greys and my blues. I've dropped my crochet hook. I am using one of these Clover and More crochet hooks, and this is a 3.5mm hook, and it is giving me, oops, isn't that lovely? I'm really pleased with this. Let me fold it in half so you can see. It's roughly single bed size. I have no idea how many stitches or how many stitches I chained to make the foundation row. I think I did count them at the time, but I have completely forgotten. But yeah, it's I've made some decent progress. It's lovely and squishy, and there are sections in it that I really like and sections in it that I'm not so keen on. I like where we are at the moment. I like this bit up here. I'm not so keen on that bright blue, but it's yeah, it's just a really lovely mindless project. It stays in my knitting corner, my crafting corner downstairs, and I pick it up. Tend to work on it on a Sunday rather than during the week, but it's a nice thing to pick up, choose the next colour. I'm alternating greys and blues, no real yarn management other than that, and other than I try not to pick a colour that's too similar to the previous blue, but we don't always get there. But that doesn't matter. All that matters is that there's a whole load of love being worked into this, and when my daughter needs a bit of a hug when she's away from home, needs her mum, she'll have it in that. So yeah, the cowl, Marta's cowl, is long finished. I'm not great at participating in cals, it must be said. So I tend not to nowadays. I know that I'm a starter rather than a finisher with these things. But I shall. It was fantastic motivation to start that blanket, and I'm really enjoying the crochet process. Actually, I'm not brilliant at crocheting. I can manage that, and I can crochet a granny square, and I would actually quite like to make a granny square blanket. So that could be the next blanket project when I finish that. For the final section today, I'm just going to show you some of the acquisitions that I have that have come my way over the last few weeks. 1, 2, 3, 4 things, and you will see a distinct theme between what's in my acquisitions basket and what I've been talking about over the course of the last half hour or so. So, yarn that I have purchased. First off, I don't think I showed this to you last time. If I did, apologies, but yeah, sorry, I was just trying to work out whether I'd shown this to you or not. It's in my podcast box, so I'm guessing I haven't, but there we go. So, another set of Mr. B yarns, and this is their Great Outdoors mini set, mini skein set. Beautiful colours. I'm having serious sense of deja vu, so I think I might have shown these to you. But anyway, they no one's going to be upset if they see these again. They are lovely. So this is their Warwick mini skein set. It's 75/25 superwash merino nylon. I don't know what I'm going to make with them. Possibly some socks, possibly a shawl, or work into a shawl, but I just absolutely love these. And while we're on the subject of Mr. B yarns, at the moment they are doing this lovely thing on Instagram where they ask people to nominate a person who deserves a bit of a treat. And my lovely friend Caroline nominated me a few weeks ago, and one day in the post a couple of weeks ago I got a surprise package, and in that package was a sachet of hot chocolate, which is long gone, and this. So a little drawstring bag and this gorgeous skein of Mr. B yarns. I will have to subtitle this as the Mr. B yarn show, I think. So this is a DK weight yarn, which I'm really thrilled about because I don't have very much DK yarn. I have been guilty of doing that magpie thing where you see a single skein of fingering weight yarn and have to have it. So I have got a lovely collection of single skeins of fingering weight yarn and very little of anything else. So to have this in my stash is just brilliant, and I just adore those colours. The sort of, I call this a sort of biscuity colour base, and then there's some really beautiful speckles throughout. Greens and browns and blues, and not too dissimilar to the colours that you'll see in that mini skein set. So yeah, I am so thrilled. It literally brought tears to my eyes when I opened this. I came home from work one day and there it was. So yeah, it was just can't thank you enough, Caroline and Mr. B, for your generosity. Yeah, I don't know what I'm going to make, either a hat or mittens, I don't know, but I will cast it on sometime very soon because it's just lovely. And then the other skein that I treated myself to, if you remember in my last podcast I showed you the brioche Friday morning shawl by Kate Atherley, and I had used a Biff Sugar Yarns yarn for it in her merino cashmere nylon base, and it's such a lovely base, and I love Alison's yarn. I particularly love her Fox on the Run colourway, and I been to her Etsy shop a few times to try and pick a skein of it up, and she's always sold out. And then I was just in the right place at the right time and managed to get myself one, and this is it. Oh, makes my heart sing when I see that. Beautiful. There's Alison's card ticket. So this is her MCN base. You get 365 meters for in 100 grams. All those colourways that I've shown you today really are very similar. It's obviously a thing of mine at the moment, those colours. So yeah, really pleased with those acquisitions, those yarny acquisitions. And the other thing to show you is this book. Let me take the slip cover off. You will probably have seen this on Instagram if you're on Instagram, but it's the Liner 52 Weeks of Socks. It's the most beautiful pattern book I have ever seen. I don't buy pattern books very often. I love the smell. Don't you love the smell of a new book? But yeah, I don't buy pattern books very often because generally there's only maybe 1 or 2 things in a book that I fancy making. But there are so many socks in here that I would like to make. They're all either textured or lace pattern socks. Some colourwork socks. I can't really show you too much because there's a lot of pattern information and next to the image, the photos. But it's just, it's beautiful. If you know anything about Liner magazine, you will know that their photography is second to none. This really is a coffee table book that you would want to pick up time and time again, and I have I've identified a number of pairs of socks that I would like to knit from that. If you can get a copy of it, I highly recommend it. I paid about £35 for it. I ordered it from my fairly recently found local yarn and fabric shop. It's a shop called Pins and Needles, and it's in a small village called Greyshot, which is just south of Guildford where I live in Surrey. And I pre-ordered it from them, and it there was a slight delay for delivery because of coronavirus, etc, etc. Not a problem there at all. And then a couple of weeks ago I got an email from the owner, and she emailed and she said would it be okay if she hand delivered it, which I thought was amazing. Really good customer service. And so it was yeah, it was hand delivered the following day while I was out at work. My husband was home and was able to accept it. Yeah, really good customer service. I shall, when the shop's open again, I will definitely be paying Pins and Needles a visit. Yeah, so thank you. You won't be watching this, I'm sure, but thank you very much. Super book, super customer service. Right, I think that's just about it. I'm going to put this box down. Okay, the only other thing really just to say about my shop, there are a few bits and pieces in my shop at the moment. I've got some drawstring bags and some zipper bags in there. At the moment I'm making postbox friendly only bags, for obvious reasons. When the lockdown starts to be lifted and we're a bit more confident about going into the post office, then I will start to make my bigger sheep bags again. I know I've had an awful lot of people asking about them, and they will be back, I promise. I have been making some smaller versions of the sheet bags which were really popular, and I really like those, so I'm going to be making those again. I am working on a secret squirrel project over the course of the next month, and that will all become clear what that is in a few weeks' time. But yeah, the shop's going really well. I'm really pleased with it. I'm very glad I made the jump from Etsy to my own website. I've got more control over what I do, and yeah, it's made a whole heap of sense to do that. And just to say, I know I said it at the beginning, but thank you very much if you've been to have a look, if you've commented on it, if you've bought something, that's brilliant, thank you. I still have this dream of being able to do the project bag and sewing stuff full time. I'd really like to have those extra hours in my day to be able to develop some new stuff, to be able to be a bit more creative with the marketing and all that sort of things, and to be able to, I don't know, just to be able to do it, because I love doing it still. Yeah, so one day everything that I'm doing at the moment, I kind of feel is like building up to a point in maybe the not so distant future when I can step back from my 9 to 5 and for the sewing to become my 9 to 5 or my 9 to longer hours. I don't care about that, I love doing it. So if you love doing something, you don't mind putting the hours in, do you? Anyway, I am rambling. Just to say thank you for having a look at my shop and for supporting. It's brilliant, and I obviously couldn't do it without you, so thank you. Right, I'm going to let you get back to your day. There are a huge number of podcasts around at the moment, and particularly there are some really great daily vlogs from people who are showing a slice of their life during lockdown. So if you are watching this, thank you for finding the time. I really do appreciate it. If you can, please give me the thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, then please do subscribe, because all those thumbs up and the numbers of subscribers do make a difference. They get the podcast out there a bit more, and building a community is what we're all about, particularly at the moment. Anyway, I'm going to say goodbye, so thank you very much for watching. Take care, stay safe, and I will speak to you very soon. Bye bye.